Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Randomize and this is Pokemon Emerald Omega, and this is a ROM hack, as you can tell, of Pokemon Emerald version. Hope it is. At least we can with no actual discernible differences from this title screen. So essentially the idea here is that we take we sort of take inspiration from Drayano. Drayano is a pretty noted hacker in or ROM hacker, or someone who provides ROMs. He's provided difficulty hacks such as Fire Red Omega, such as Blaze Black, and essentially what these guys wanted to do was they wanted to take his sort of inspiration and then use it in Emerald instead, and that so became Emerald Omega. So this is a hack which has lots and lots and lots of new features, such as the physical special split, should have some new moves from future generations. We have new starters, some added Pokemon. I think the Pokedex now goes up to goes up to 450 actually, which is quite cool. And then we have other things such as gym leaders being all like 6 Mons and stuff like that. So there's lots and lots of new different things as well, which I think is really, really cool. And I wanted to try this hack out. I really wanted to try a Ruby hack actually, because obviously I've already done an Emerald hack with my Bog Monotype. But honestly, from what I can tell from everyone in the poker community and stuff like that, is that just no one likes hacking Ruby, because Ruby came so early in the lifespan of the Game Boy Advance, and so there's so much less. It's far less. There's far less you can do with a Ruby hack than you can do with this sort of hack. That you can do with a hack of Emerald, indeed. Or as a lot of other games are, as obviously of Fire Red, which is the other particularly common hack sort of base that we see for Gen 3 games. Sort of rather than struggling through maybe a Ruby hack that I wasn't particularly a fan of, or I didn't want, I thought I'd go for an Emerald hack again. Obviously it does mean that we have sort of like similarities, and we don't actually get that sort of base Team Magma experience. Big Team Magma being the ones that sort of challenge everyone and see through that. But I think we can certainly cope with that to some extent. It shouldn't be too much of a trouble. One thing I should say is that the story has not been changed, so they haven't actually changed anything about the story, and because of that, I am going to zip through as much of the story as much as possible, just because it is, entirely unnecessary, really, for us to worry about that. We just quickly set the time. Yeah, there we go. So essentially, we're just having a look. Obviously, everything that we've already seen here, and if you want a sort of a better or more in-depth version of this, then you can have a look at my Pokemon Sapphire playthrough, where I actually sort of, experienced Gen 3 for the first time. But in this case, what we actually have is just sort of a lot of the same things. We meet our first, our rival May, and then we can actually head north. No, we can't actually yet head north. I can't quite remember. Do we have to talk back to Mum again? No, I have to introduce myself to Professor Birch, who I thought was outside. So we'll see if, no, we don't need to talk to May again. So it must be just heading straight out then. There we go, yeah. So, we obviously have Professor Birch having in a little bit of trouble. And we're going to find ourselves a Pokemon. So now, here, as you can see, here's the first evidence that obviously is a hack. We actually have 3 new starters, and the starters are actually the starters that come from Gen... that are in Fire Red Omega as well. So, sort of, again, showing sort of the inspiration, I guess. So we have the electric Pokemon Elekid, we have the live coal Pokemon Magby, and we have the Kiss Pokemon Smoochum. So we're going to start off with Elekid. Now, I should say, another thing that I haven't sort of made clear yet is what this sort of playthrough is going to be. So this playthrough is actually going to be a Monotype. We've already done one Monotype here in Gen 3, so we're actually going to do a second Monotype. Much as we have done in Gen 1, where we did a Flying and a Water Monotype. In Gen 2 we did a Psychic and a Ground, and in Gen 3 we're going to do Bug, and now we're also going to do Grass. So this is going to be a Grass Monotype, and the reason I chose Grass is because we actually get quite a nice variation in terms of the Pokemon that are available to us with Grass types in Gen 3. So in Gen 3 we get Pokemon such as Lilip, which obviously is a Rock type. We get mons like Cacturn and Shiftry being Dark types, which is quite cool. We get mons like... we continue to get mons such as Tropius, which is a Flying type, along with Jumpluff, which I haven't used. And we also get... we can't yet buy Pokeballs. Oh yeah, because we don't get Pokeballs until we face off against May, I think. What else do we get? As you can see, a wild Ponyta here, so obviously showing that there is the wild Pokemon have also been changed. What's the other one I'm thinking of? I mean, you obviously get like stuff like Roselia. And also Lotad, of course. Lotad being a very important potential member of this team, and Breloom as well. So we're talking about lots and lots of different mons. With lots and lots of interesting secondary typings, which should hopefully really enable us to do something. Because the difficulty of this hack, this is obviously a difficulty hack, as most of these hacks are, and so because it's a difficulty hack, we do actually want to think about our team, think about how we best want to cope with the challenges that the game is going to throw at us. So apologies. So I am just going to zip through this as fast as possible because obviously Elekid is not a Grass type, and therefore will not be one of our final team members. And so I also just need to go to options and turn the speed to fast and the battle style to off. And the battle style is currently shift. I think they say that at times it could change to set. I'm not entirely sure. The information on the Poke Community site isn't the clearest, but I'm not, too worried about that. What I'm really looking forward to is just sort of going back through the game again. It's been a while since I've done a Pokemon playthrough, and I think it's going to be really nice, being able to go through this, and especially with something like a Grass Monotype. I really enjoy these Monotype runs. We've had a lot of success. We've had one failure. We don't talk about that run. But it's been really enjoyable to take these games to a different sort of challenge. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to this. The person on our Community, if you're wondering, is called Mama, or guy, girl, I don't actually know. But yeah, no. So they seem to be the people to. And yeah, so you definitely want to find, if you're interested in this hack, you should definitely look at the page. It will be linked in the description on my channel as well, as are every other hack that I do on this channel. Pidgey and Rattata look really angry in this game. Okay, so obviously we're going to proceed onwards, but what we do want to check out is for the wild Pokemon, which is why I am searching, because unlike some hacks, this game did not. I don't believe it came with a long list of, an extensive list of all the information about everything, where wild Pokemon are, which wild Pokemon you can find, stuff like that. And because of that, there's going to be far more just an exploration. The nice thing about Grass types is that generally you find enough of them early on in the game for it to actually be perfectly worthwhile you actually playing. There's usually enough of these Grass types early on in the game for it to be worthwhile to actually try and use them, because another thing you might know from all of my playthroughs is that I really don't like only introducing a Pokemon right at the end of my playthroughs. I think, I don't like having a full team for 20 of 25 episodes and then introducing my last Pokemon in the last 5. I'll usually try to have a full team of 6 before the 5th gym. So in this case, that's Norman, and so we actually need to essentially get a full team before we can surf. So whilst we did see Ponyta in that top level, we have not seen them again. We've seen lots of Nidoran and stuff like that. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to head over here to Route 102 and look for some grass types. Our first grass type is here. It is a Lotad. Being obviously the first water grass type, I think the only water grass type as well. We're going to hope for good natures, all of that sort of stuff. Stuff that I really should know more about nowadays, but there we go. We have Lotad, the water weed Pokemon. This Pokemon lives in ponds with clean water. It is known to ferry small Pokemon across ponds by carrying them on the broadleaf on its head, which sounds just adorable. So we're not going to nickname our Mons. I generally save nicknames. I find it difficult to nickname Mons. Definitely sort of want to keep that in for Nuzlocke and stuff like that. So we have a hasty nature here, which I don't remember which one was which. So we have Astonishing Growl. Unfortunately, it is a rain-dish one. I think if anything, we'd quite like a Swift Swim later. I feel like that's going to be slightly more beneficial to us. So we might try and catch maybe a few more. And then choose the one that we particularly want to use. Seeing as this is not a Nuzlocke, you know, we obviously want to be able to actually use the fact that we actually have choice of Mon. Speaking of which, the problem with Lotad is obviously Lotad cannot hit Pidgey, as we actually see Shinx. So there you go, our first Gen 4 Mon. I believe. Because Smoochum and Magby and Elekid are all Gen 2, stuff like that. Everything else has been Gen 3. So yeah, obviously Lotad can't actually touch the Pidgey. So we will be using Elekid just to sort of grind up our initial Mon just at the start here. But once we certainly, Elekid will hopefully not be taking part in any gym battles and stuff like that. Keep going to bag instead of to Pokemon. Lotad grows to level 4. I wish we weren't hitting Pidgey, because I reckon, I don't know, maybe with the Nidoran or something like that, we could actually, you know, have a chance of taking it out with Lotad. But nope, just Pidgey after Pidgey after Pidgey. Let's head to the north just for a little bit to see if we maybe missed anything. There's another Mon that we can't actually touch. That's the really annoying thing about having Astonish as your first move. Just being able to hit literally nothing of your of the starting sort of Mon. There we go. Lotad again learns Absorb, which is great. So we now actually have a Stab. Stab Grass type move obviously does very little, but at least that now means that we can somewhat do some grinding by ourselves. Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, like I said, this might not actually be the Lotad that we eventually use, as we actually see a Seedot here, which is another little grass type, which is really useful. It's currently using Bide, so we're just going to Elekid, unleash the energy. I think Seedot only gets Bide as its starting move, which is also rather frustrating. But there we go, we get ourselves a Seedot as Elekid grows to level 10. So actually we gained experience there despite catching them on, which is quite a nice touch. Although looks like that's sort of glitched a bit there. So we'll just let that slide for the moment. Let's have a look at our Seedot here. So it gets Early Bird, which isn't a great ability. I think Seedot does get Chlorophyll, and a mild nature, with Bide and Harden, yeah. So not exactly wonderful abilities. As we see another Lotad, so this one we will also try and catch. There we go, we catch ourselves a second Lotad. And Lotad knows Nature Power. So let's just check this one. So there you go. So this one's a Swift Swim Lotad with a gentle nature. And we have Astonishing Growl once more. Yeah, I think we'll aim for, you know, a few of each. As we catch ourselves a second Seedot. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously this opening sort of start just before we, we find which mons we want, especially will be, important. We just didn't mean to go into Seedot there. I meant to go into Elekid because Elekid's the only one with actually like any form of efficient stab. We actually see Wild Hoppip here, which is really cool. Like, that's a really nice mon for us to try and capture. So we may well... like how, so you can see that here in the Grass type being immune to status, being immune to powder moves is not present, as it is in later gens. So there we go, we catch ourselves a Hoppip as well. And again, it sort of ends up sort of going off the screen. We won't worry too much about that. Hopefully, there won't be any too much problems. So we look at the... so we have Chlorophyll. So Chlorophyll is actually quite a nice ability here, especially if we wanted to run some form of Sun Team, which isn't like too impossible for us to do with a Grass Monotype. Like a lot of the mons that I'm considering using to Pokemon like I think Vileplume. I know Victory Bell does get it. I'm not sure if Vileplume gets its Chlorophyll. But, having some form of sun would actually be quite nice. See a gentle nature here. Initially, it only has Splash. So anyway, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to call this episode to an end. It's going to be a slightly short first episode. That is fine. Essentially, I'm now going to spend the next sort of... I'm going to start off by actually wanting to, catch these mons. And then what we can do is, I can make a decision as to whether we actually want to, I'm sure I will want to use probably all three of these mons. Especially if the movesets and the stabs are changed, because that means that something like Hoppip, for example, or Jumpluff becomes far more viable. I'm not sure, obviously, we'll see what happens. But essentially, we'll have our team of 6 somewhat here. Maybe I should actually put them going down. That'd be... And then what we'll do, so we'll probably catch 5 of each, and then I'll make my choice as to which one we want, and then we'll continue on our quest. In the next episode, I'll hopefully also maybe do a little bit of grinding just to get these guys up into a point where we actually have some stab moves. Especially if we're like using Seedot with Abide and a Jumpluff with Splash, Hoppip with Splash, then I think we should definitely have some moves that we can use, and then we can actually approach the next gym, or head forwards and look towards the next gym. We probably wouldn't get to it in the next episode, but the faster we can drop the Elekid from our team, the better, I would say. Hopefully Elekid can act as some form of HM slave. I don't know what sort of HMs it gets. So yeah, anyway, we'll see. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I hope you will stick around for the whole of this series as it comes out. In the next episode, we will have our first few members of our team, hopefully the first 3 members at least. And then we'll be looking for even more because, like I said, obviously we want a full team of 6. This is pretty nice. I think Shiftry is probably a better choice than Captain, just because having that higher speed is going to be far more useful, I think. But anyway, we shall see. So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and hope you'll join me on the next.